Hello everyone, my name is Rohitro and today I will talk about the 11th chapter of the Bangladesh and Global Studies book of class 9 to 10. So yeah, which is entitled as Economic Indicators and the Nature of Bangladesh's Economy. So yeah, and also do keep in mind that it is raining quite a bit outside, so yeah, sound might come in, which is quite pleasing to the ears. But anyways, let's get back into topic. So yeah, so first of all, I will like to explain GDP, GNP, and per capita income, or also known as PCI. So what is GDP? GDP or gross domestic product, like this basically measures the total monetary value of all final goods and services produced strictly within the geographic borders of a country over a specific period, which is usually year. Yeah, but it doesn't matter who produces it, whether it's a local like citizen of the country or a foreign enterprise inside of your country. So if it's made inside the country's border, it counts towards the GDP. So yeah, and then we have GNP or gross national product. This basically measures the economic output of like created by the citizens of a country, regardless of where they are in the world. If let's say a Bangladeshi doctor works in the UK, their income counts towards Bangladesh's GNP. And yeah, so the standard formula is GNP equals GDP plus X minus M, where X is the money earned by the citizens abroad and M is the money earned by foreigners inside of Bangladesh. So yeah, and lastly we have per capita income. Or also known as PCI. So this is basically the average annual income of a country's population. You can calculate it by dividing the total national income by the total population. So yeah, so it'll be like per capita income equals total national income, or like GNP by total population. So yeah. So yeah, that's it. And now let's find the difference between GNP and GDP. So the main distinction comes down to location versus citizenship. GDP is territorial, where like it focuses entirely on where the economic activity takes place. Where GNP is a nationality based thing, where it focuses on who generates the income no matter where they are located globally. So yeah, that's basically the main difference between GDP and GNP. So yeah, do keep in mind. And so now let's explain the different contributions of different sectors to domestic production. So yeah, so our economy is divided into a lot of key sectors, such as agriculture, industry, and services. Agriculture historically provided the largest chunk of employment and continues to ensure food security, where industry, especially ready-made garments, pharmaceuticals, and like manufacturing, basically. So they basically drive like structural growth and export earnings. So yeah, they also do like a lot of things there. And then we have services. Services has a lot of like subcategories like banking, telecommunication, transport, education, medical stuff, etc. So this basically represents the largest portion of GDP today, reflecting a modernizing economy. So yeah, the amount of like subcategory it has, so that's why it like contributes the largest amount to our GDP. So yeah, and so that's it. And now we will compare some GDP, GNP, and per capita income across nations. So developed nations like the US, Japan, or Germany boast massive GDP and extremely high per capita income due to high value industrial and technological outputs. Developing nations like Bangladesh show steady GDP growth rates, but per capita income remains a bit lower because the national income is divided across a really large population. Yeah. So that's it. And now we will talk about calculating GNP, GDP, and per capita income on a small scale. Imagine a small island with 10 residents. In a year, they produce goods worth $1,000 inside the island. So that is their basically GDP. And let's say two residents work on a neighboring island and bring back $200, while one foreign guest on their country, island, earns $100 and sends it home. So their GNP is $1,000 plus $200 minus $100, which is $1,100, while their per capita income is $1,100 by 10 residents. So basically, $1,100 per person. So yeah, so you can easily do that. So yeah, that's why it's a bit handy to know how you work with PCI and GNP and stuff. So yeah. Let's explore or explain the main characteristics of a Bangladesh economy. So yeah, they are transitioning from a purely agrarian economy to industry and service-driven economy. They have heavy reliance on remittance inflow from overseas Bangladeshi workers, and they are rapidly growing domestic consumer market backed by high population density. Strong reliance on foreign trade, especially garment exports, is also a characteristic of Bangladesh's economy. So yeah. There's also some obstacles to Bangladesh's economic progress. So let's talk about some of them, which are like overpopulation pressure relative to land mass, vulnerability to climate change, natural disasters and floods, structural infrastructure gaps like energy grid, transport, logistics, etc., and low savings to investment ratio and capital shortages. So yeah. And then we will talk about explaining about developed, developing, and underdeveloped economies. What is a developed economy? So this is basically what high per capita income, advanced technology, which is dominated by high-end services and manufacturing. And by developing economy, we mean rapidly expanding industries, growing infrastructure, moderate per capita income, moving away from agricultural dominance, example for Bangladesh. Then we have underdeveloped, low capital formation, reliance on subsistence agriculture, low per capita income. So yeah, those are the three things. Let's explain economic relations with developed and developing nations. Bangladesh basically relies on developed nations for technology, imports, capital, machinery, foreign direct investment, and major export markets. With developing nations like Asian or SHARC neighbors, Bangladesh engages in bilateral trade, raw material exchange, and regional economic partnership. I basically talked about the 11th chapter of class 9 to 10's BGS book. Thank you for listening to me. That's all for today.